Have you ever noticed how some people seem to get older overnight? One year they're up early, walking their dog, working in the garden, smiling wide, and the next, they've slowed down, lost their spark, and are suddenly surrounded by medications, appointments, and worries. What changed? It's not always something dramatic like an illness or injury. Often, it's something much more subtle. A quiet habit that sneaks into your daily routine after retirement. A mindset shift that whispers, "It's too late now." Or a small choice repeated over time that chips away at your strength, your independence, your joy. And before you know it, you've aged a decade in just a few years. That's exactly why we need to have this conversation today. Because after 65, it's not just about adding years to your life, it's about adding life to your years. It's about avoiding the common traps that steal your energy, your balance, your clarity, and your sense of purpose. And here's the truth, there are things many people do after 65, sometimes without even realizing it, that quietly accelerate aging. But the good news is, you can stop them. You can take back control. And it doesn't require extreme diets or expensive programs. Just small, intentional shifts. So let's talk about what not to do if you want to live long and strong. And let's start with one of the sneakiest traps of all, doing less because you think you've earned the rest. Now don't get me wrong. You've worked hard for decades. You absolutely deserve to enjoy your retirement years. But there's a difference between resting and resting. When people retire, it's common to think, I don't have to rush anymore. No more alarms, no more deadlines, no more pushing myself. And that sounds wonderful, until a few weeks or months go by and suddenly, your body starts to slow down. Not because it has to, but because you've stopped challenging it. Your muscles start shrinking. Your balance gets a little worse. You feel more tired doing things that used to be easy. Not because of your age, but because of inactivity. You see, the human body was made to move, especially as we get older. Muscles need resistance. Joints need motion. Bones need pressure. And the brain? It thrives on new challenges. When we stop asking our bodies and minds to grow, they start breaking down. So here's a powerful shift. Instead of thinking, I've earned the right to slow down, try thinking, I've earned the right to keep going. You've earned the right to take care of yourself. To build strength, not lose it. To move through your day with confidence, not caution. Even just 20 minutes of daily movement, some light strength training, a balance exercise, a brisk walk, can protect your muscles, your brain, even your bones. It's not about running marathons. It's about staying strong enough to do what you love, on your own terms. Another silent trap to avoid is spending too much time alone. Now, solitude can be wonderful. A peaceful morning with your coffee and newspaper? A quiet afternoon with your book or a favorite show? That's not the problem. But too much isolation, especially when it becomes the norm, can quietly chip away at your health in ways most people never expect. Studies show that chronic loneliness can raise your risk of heart disease, memory loss, depression, and even early death. Why? Because humans were built for connection. For laughter. For conversation. For being seen, heard, and valued. When we stop reaching out, when we stop connecting, it doesn't just affect our mood. It affects our immune system, our sleep, our energy, our drive to take care of ourselves. And here's the thing, staying connected after 65 looks different than it did in your 30s or 40s. It may not be a workplace full of coworkers or kids running through the house. But connection is still available. It might be joining a local walking group or senior center. It might be starting a weekly phone call with an old friend. It might even be chatting with a neighbor during your daily stroll. What matters is showing up. Letting people in. Giving and receiving the human spark that reminds you, you're part of something. You still matter. You're not alone. Now, let's talk about one more habit that seems harmless, but can quietly damage your body and mind, neglecting hydration. I know what you're thinking, I drink water. But here's the truth, as we age, our sense of thirst gets weaker. The signals just aren't as strong. That means by the time you feel thirsty, you might already be mildly dehydrated, and that can mess with your blood pressure, your joints, your brain function, even your digestion. Think about it. Have you ever felt dizzy when standing up? Or noticed your skin looking dry and dull? Have you struggled with fatigue, foggy thinking, or constipation? Sometimes, it's not age, it's dehydration. Water helps every system in your body work better. It cushions your joints. It regulates your temperature. It keeps your kidneys happy and your brain sharp. But so many people over 65 go through their day barely drinking a few cups. Here's a simple fix. Keep a glass or bottle of water nearby at all times. Take sips throughout the day, not just when you feel thirsty. And don't forget that tea, soups, fruits, and even some vegetables contribute to hydration too. Your body doesn't need gallons of water, but it does need consistency. Small shifts like these might not seem dramatic. But over time, they add up to a stronger, sharper, and more independent version of you. One that doesn't just survive, but thrives. Watching and feel that these insights are meaningful. Please type number 2 in the comments to let me know you're still with me. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I warmly invite you to do so, and don't forget to turn on the bell, so you won't miss any of our upcoming videos designed to uplift, inform, and inspire. Your support truly means a lot. It's what keeps us going and allows us to continue sharing thoughtful, helpful content just for you. Now, let's continue this journey together. So once we stop ignoring the signals our body gives us, the next big trap is something a lot of folks don't even realize they're falling into: doing too much sitting. Now, I know what you're thinking. But I've earned the right to relax. I've worked hard my whole life. And yes, you absolutely have. Rest is important. But the problem isn't sitting once in a while, it's sitting too much, and for too long, especially without breaks. Here's the truth most people don't want to admit. After 65, the body simply doesn't bounce back from long periods of inactivity like it used to. When we sit too much, whether it's watching TV, scrolling on our phones, or reading for hours on end, our muscles start to weaken, our joints stiffen, and our circulation slows. Over time, this can lead to everything from poor balance to dangerous falls, even depression. But here's the good news: you don't need to start training for a marathon to reverse this. Just stand up and move every 30 minutes. Walk around the house, stretch, or even do a little dance if you're feeling brave. Set a timer if you need to. That tiny act of movement reminds your muscles, hey, we're still in this game. It's about sending your body a message that you're not done using it yet. And here's a little secret I've seen work wonders: when you combine movement with something joyful, like music, gardening, or chatting with a neighbor, it doesn't feel like exercise. It feels like living. And that's the goal here. Now, another habit that quietly chips away at our strength and independence after 65 is something that sounds helpful on the surface but can actually cause harm: over-relying on others for things you can still do yourself. Don't get me wrong, asking for help when you truly need it is smart and necessary. But when we stop opening our own jars, stop trying to carry our groceries, or stop climbing those 2 steps just because someone younger offers, what we're really doing is training our brain to believe we're no longer capable. And that belief can be far more damaging than aging itself. I've met countless people in their late 70s and 80s who stay sharp and strong simply because they refuse to give up doing the little things. They might take longer, they might have to modify how they do it, but they do it. That persistence, that sense of control, it keeps their spirit young and their body active. So the next time someone says, "Let me get that for you," ask yourself, can I do this on my own safely? If the answer is yes, even if it's slower or harder, give it a try. Because every time you move, lift, bend, or balance on your own, you're sending a signal to your brain: I've still got it. And now, speaking of sending signals, let's talk about something that often goes completely unnoticed but plays a huge role in aging gracefully, or not: what we feed our minds. Yes, I'm talking about the information we take in, the news we watch, the conversations we have, the thoughts we allow to loop through our heads. After 65, we're at a crossroads. We can either fill our days with worry, negativity, and regret, or we can choose to feed our minds with hope, purpose, and curiosity. You see, the brain doesn't retire. It wants to keep learning, solving, dreaming. But if we drown it in a steady stream of fear and bad news, it starts to shrink, not just physically, but emotionally too. That's when apathy creeps in. That's when we start saying, "What's the point?" But you can flip the switch at any age. Start a new hobby. Learn a few words in a new language. Read something that inspires you. Call a grandchild and ask them about their day. These little acts of mental stimulation, they're like fertilizer for your spirit. And they remind your brain, hey, there's still more to discover. One woman I spoke to started painting at age 72. She'd never held a brush in her life. At first, she was scared of messing it up. But then, something magical happened. She stopped caring about being perfect and just let herself play. Now she paints every week, and she swears it's what keeps her young. So whether it's painting, puzzles, poetry, or playing cards, don't let your brain sit still. Just like your muscles, it needs activity to stay alive. And speaking of staying alive, here's a habit that literally makes a life or death difference, but so many of us get it wrong, ignoring small health changes. That tiny new mole. That slight shortness of breath. That little bump that wasn't there before. We tell ourselves, it's nothing. It'll pass. But those small signs are often the body's whisper before the shout. And the older we get, the more important it is to listen. I know it can feel scary to go to the doctor. Maybe you don't want bad news. Maybe you've had a few too many pills already. I get it. But early detection is your best friend. The difference between catching something early and waiting even just a few months can mean the difference between a quick fix and a serious fight. Think of it like this: if a plant starts wilting, you don't wait until it's brown and dry to water it. You act fast. Your body deserves that same care. And no one, not your kids, not your spouse, can advocate for your health better than you. So if something feels off, even just a little, get it checked. Not because you're afraid of dying, but because you believe in living well. And with that, let's keep going, because there's still one more habit that can make all the difference in helping you stay strong, sharp, and full of life after 65. And now, let's talk about something many folks don't even realize they're doing after 65 that quietly chips away at both physical health and emotional strength: isolating yourself. You might think, I'm fine being alone, or I don't want to bother anyone. But here's the truth: humans are wired for connection, especially as we age. When we start spending more time alone, avoiding social gatherings, or skipping those phone calls with friends and family, it doesn't just affect our mood, it actually affects our body. Studies show that loneliness is linked to higher blood pressure, weakened immunity, and even increased risk of heart disease and dementia. And it's not about having dozens of friends or a packed calendar. It's about meaningful connection, the kind that makes you laugh, feel seen, and reminds you that you matter. So if you've been turning down invitations or telling yourself, I'll call them later, maybe it's time to make that call today. Reach out. Join a walking group. Invite your neighbor over for tea. Even a 10-minute chat can lift your spirits in ways you didn't expect. Don't wait for people to come to you. Be the one who starts the conversation, because the strength that comes from connection is just as important as any vitamin or exercise routine. Now, before we wrap things up, there's one more silent habit that holds so many people back after 65, believing it's too late. Too late to change. Too late to try something new. Too late to feel better, move better, or live with purpose. That kind of thinking is like putting up a big closed sign on your future. But here's the truth: you're not done. Not even close. There are people in their 70s learning new languages. In their 80s running marathons. In their 90s starting businesses or painting for the first time. The body might slow down, but the spirit doesn't have to. The minute you tell yourself, this is just how it is now, you close the door on possibility. But if instead you say, why not? Let's see what happens. You invite energy, excitement, and growth back into your life. You don't need to climb mountains. But maybe you take a new route on your morning walk. Try a new dish you've never cooked. Join a local class just to meet new faces. Curiosity and courage are muscles, and the more you use them, the stronger they get. Life after 65 isn't about shrinking. It's about expanding in new and beautiful ways. So let's bring it all together. We've talked about habits that quietly work against us after 65, like ignoring small aches, skipping strength work, spending too much time sitting, not challenging the brain, isolating ourselves, and believing it's too late to grow. But here's the good news, every one of those habits can be changed. Not overnight, and not perfectly, but step by step, moment by moment. Maybe today, you stand up from your chair and stretch a little longer. Maybe tomorrow, you say yes to that lunch invite. Maybe next week, you try a new game or puzzle that makes your brain go, whoa, this is different. These small choices, done regularly, done with intention, build strength, both inside and out. You have more power than you think. And you are not too old, too late, or too far gone to feel better than you do today. Your next chapter doesn't have to look like the last one. In fact, it can be even better, filled with new experiences, greater energy, and deeper joy. So keep going. Keep choosing yourself, your health, and your future. Because every moment you invest in yourself is a step toward living long and living strong. And if this video gave you even one little spark of inspiration, I'd love to hear from you in the comments. What habit are you changing starting today? What's one thing you're saying yes to that you might have avoided last week? Your words might just encourage someone else watching to do the same. If you enjoyed this, don't forget to hit that like button. It helps more people see this kind of content, and subscribe to the channel so you never miss a chance to live better, not just longer. Here's to growing stronger, braver, and bolder with every year. You've got this, and we're in it together. See you in the next video.